That's the intro. Tier list. People like lists, we're making lists. Okay, these are all the fantasy and sci-fi books and TV shows I consumed in the year of 2022. Starting with Exit Strategy, Murderball, S tier. It's an immediate S tier. Murderball, pretty much all of them are in S tier. It's just, love the character of Murderball. Secondly, we have Along the Razor's Edge. Ooh, I'm going to put an A tier. I really enjoyed Along the Razor's Edge. It made it into my top 10 list of the year, so I think it deserves an A. I already talked about how much of a surprise it was for me, how much I enjoyed it, and it's deserving an A. And I think book 2 is meant to be even better, so maybe next year book 2 will be in the S tier. Shadows of Self. This is difficult. I really enjoyed it, but I'm not sure it was S tier. I might just put it at the top of A tier. I think that seems fair. I loved all the connections to Era 1. I thought that was awesome. And I really liked the characters of Wax and Wayne. But it just... I'm not clamoring for a reread. And I'm not diving into the next book immediately like I did with Era 1, so... I think A. Top of A. Top of A. Next, Path of the Eternal Sun. This is a self-pub book and has really creative world building. I really like the characters, but it's really fast paced. And I like that it was fast paced at the start, but I would have liked some moments later on in the book to have slowed down a little. So I think that's going to be B tier. B's still amazing though. I really enjoyed it and I highly recommend it. If you're looking for a really fast short read, Path of the Eternal Sun. Next up we have Illborn. I don't know if I should put it above or below Along the Razor's Edge. I think below. I think I enjoyed Along the Razor's Edge a wee bit more because I really like the character of Eska in Along the Razor's Edge. And Illborn was great, but I didn't connect to any of the characters as much as I connected to Eska. So yeah, I think A, but under Along the Razor's Edge. Ocean at the End of the Lane. This might be a decisive take. Am I going to do this? Yeah, I think I'm going to put it top B. I'm sorry, I really enjoyed it. It was great fun, but I feel like a lot of it went over the top of my head, to be perfectly honest. I'm not sure. It was fun, and I really liked it. But I know it's a lot of people's all-time favourites. I'm not sure I'd go back and reread it. I don't know, maybe I will. Maybe I'll go back to it and like it more in a second read. But I did really enjoy it. It was good. I'm going to put top of B. That's still a solid rating. Next up, Of Darkness and Light. I read this right at the start of the year. Actually, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to put top of B. This is a classic fantasy series. Book 2 was a massive improvement on book 1. I enjoyed book 1, but book 2, it just ramped everything up, and I really enjoyed it. Alloy of Law, straight to the bottom of A, I think. I don't understand. So many people seem to have this opinion of Alloy of Law that it's just, it's an okay book, it's not one of Sanderson's best. And the level of enjoyment I had from that book, it might have been the time of reading it, because I read it while I was on holiday, and I was relaxing, and it was a short, fun little read. So perhaps it was just right time, right book. But I just really enjoyed it. I don't understand why people think of it as an average book. I do think it gets short end of the stick sometimes, because I really enjoyed Alloy of Law. Starsight. Oh. I enjoyed Starsight. I really liked Skyward. Starsight wasn't as good, but I really enjoyed it still. And we'll talk about Cytonic when we get to it. But I think I'll put it... there? Yeah, I think that's fair. Hunger of the Gods, we've got our second S tier. I loved Hunger of the Gods so much. I enjoyed Shadow of the Gods as well, but I think I might have enjoyed Hunger of the Gods a little bit more. All the world building and the way it threw you in at the start of the book, top tier. And the ending was incredible. I really enjoyed Hunger of the Gods. Oh, my light's gone off. Damn. Oh well. Light's not there anymore. If I was nitpicking, I could see how some people would get a little bit frustrated with the pacing in the middle. Or not frustrated, but I think it could be tightened up in the middle a little bit. It didn't bother me at all. I can definitely see why some people would want this sort of middle of the book to be tightened up, because it did like to meander a wee bit and have some slower scenes. Next we have The Hand of the Sun King. Also made it into my top 10 list. There. Yeah. Really liked Hand of the Sun King. Scholarly based main character, which was interesting. The world building's really interesting. I didn't connect to the main character Alder as much as I did in other characters in other books, which is why it's sort of middle of A. In fact, I'm probably going to do that. Bottom of A. Still a really good fantasy book. Quite short, but feels like quite a big grand adventure. So I would still highly recommend it. Exile by Ryan Cahill. I'm putting that up in S tier as well. I think it's probably my favourite all-time fantasy novella. So I can't talk a lot on it because it is 2.5 in the series, so you have to read the first 2 books before you can read it. But it follows my favourite character in the series, Dane, and I love the humour in it, love the action in it, love the mystery in it. It kind of feels a bit like Castlevania, Netflix's Castlevania, which I love that show. So it was so good. Definitely an S tier. House of Dragons. Is that going to be top of A, or we're going to put it into S tier? I think we'll drop it in S tier. I think it deserves that. The way that show is able to make so much politicking and quiet dialogue scenes just between 2 characters insanely engaging and sit on the edge of your seat thrilling it speaks volumes to the level of writing and character development in the show. Flames of Mira. I've talked about this book to death, so I'm not going to go into it again, but it was just everything that I want in a fantasy book. It has incredible characters, great character relations between the cast of characters, really amazing world building, interesting and unique world building that I've not seen before. Kind of has almost like a sci-fi level world building aspects to it, like the frozen surface, so they all live underground, and I loved it. It was really, really good. Definitely an S tier, and book 2 should be coming out this year, and I'm so excited. I'm going to drop everything when that comes out. Legends and Lattes. I enjoyed this book a lot, but I think I got wrapped up in the hype and expected something more. But it was a very wholesome, fun little book, but it wasn't mind-blowing or unexpected in any way, which is kind of what I thought with all the hype built up around it. So this is purely just from the expectations, me going into the book. But I still loved it. It was fantastic. So I'm probably going to put it under Shadows of Self. Skyward's a weird one, because I read the prologue and I thought, oh, this doesn't feel like Sanderson. This is really young. I didn't realize it was. I knew it was a YA series, but I didn't realize how young a YA series it was. But then I was like, oh, okay, I'll read it anyway. It's Sanderson. I'm sure it will still be a good story. It's just not something I read regularly or I'm used to. But it gets pretty dark, and I wasn't expecting that. With the prose style and the start of the book, I expected it to be YA and not go as dark as it did. So that was quite surprising, and that actually made it a much more enjoyable read because it kind of subverted my expectations. So I'm going to drop that in bottom of A. Cytonic. I'm going to drop that in C. I really didn't enjoy Cytonic very much. I enjoyed Starsight, but Cytonic just completely fell off for me. I feel like Spencer didn't evolve much as a character. I felt like we were just on a wee side quest to fill in some of the world building. I feel like the whole book could have been chopped right down to like a novella. But its saving grace was definitely the ending. The world building and twists at the ending were really exciting and had me excited to pick up Defiant despite the fact that I didn't enjoy Cytonic. The Great Hunt. Ooh, let's put that. Ooh, did I enjoy it more or less than Illborn? It's kind of on a par with Illborn, so I'm just going to put it in front of it. I enjoyed Great Hunt a lot. It was quite slow, especially to start with. The first, I don't know, quarter of the book is just Rand running about this fortress, not knowing what's going on and catching up with all the characters, which took a lot of time to get through. But after that, it really picked up, and I enjoyed the ending a lot and all the world building hints that we're getting for where we're going, and even Rand's development as a character in this book I thought was a lot better than book 1 as well. And Nevernight. Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna put it at the top of A. Nevernight's another weird one where the first third of the book is quite messy because you have lots of stuff being set up all at once. You have a past Mia, present day Mia, you have footnotes, and it's just an awful lot all at once. But once you get into the actual bulk of the story, after that first part, Mia's a fantastic character. The world building's amazing, and I adore the prose. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. We're sliding that right up to S tier. That was one of the best films I have seen in a number of years. If you haven't watched it, I implore you to go watch it. It is on Amazon Prime, I believe, for free, or I'm not sure there's a Blu-ray out yet unless you're in America, but find a way to watch it. I think it's on Amazon Prime because it is top tier. Master of Jin. Ooh. I think we'll put you there. Steampunk fantasy in a 1912 Cairo. Need I say more? Jade City. Jade City was great. I really enjoyed Jade City. It didn't blow me away, but again, I wonder how much of that is because of the expectations going in, because I know it's a really highly rated series, but I know book 2 and 3 are meant to get even better. So, and I did really enjoy Jade City, especially for the characters, and the setting was really interesting. So I think I enjoyed it more or less in Hand of the Sun King. Probably more, because I connected more to the characters in Jade City than I did Alder. Alice in Borderland Season 2. So I watched Season 1 when it came out a couple years ago, 2020 I believe, 2019, something like that. And it was a great show, I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't anything that I would have put highly on this list. It might be a strong B. But Season 2, S tier. Definitely S tier. The way they weave the character development into the narrative of an episode, and all the subcontext that's put in under the games and the overall narrative, and the ending. Oh boy, the ending. There wasn't a bad episode in Season 2. It was incredible. So I would highly recommend watch Season 1, and if you enjoyed it, go on to Season 2, because Season 2 was... Chainsaw Man's weird. The music's awesome. The show is weird. I'm going by the anime, not the manga. I've not read the manga, so let's slide it in there. It's a really weird show, but it's quite unique. Interesting characters. Great music. The animation is stunning. Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Now that is S tier. Anything that can make me feel all the emotions that show made me feel, immediate S tier. The character arc for the protagonist is huge. The difference between him from episode 1 and the last episode is massive. I absolutely love the world of Night City and the cyberpunk setting, and the emotions. Oh boy, that show. Watch it. You need to watch it. I don't want to say too much about it. It also made me play the cyberpunk game again, which I'm going to slide in above Chainsaw Man. I did play it when it first came out, but it was fairly glitchy and had some issues with it. But after watching the show, I jumped back in and I've been playing a lot. Meantime, I think I'll put it at the bottom of B. This is not my normal pick, but I thought it'd be quite funny. Which it was funny, but some of the plot lines and the themes I felt like were kind of brushed over at the end. It didn't have as much behind it as I was hoping it was going to. I liked certain dark things. It was a cover buy. As soon as I saw that cover I thought, yes. But it's not what I thought it was going to be at all. I would have liked more from the world building and the world itself, because it has really interesting lore behind it, but we only kind of get a bit of it, and there's no other novels in that world, so it's just kind of left. However, the two main characters were fantastic to follow, so I'm going to put it there. The Look of a King, I enjoyed that a lot. It is self-published fantasy, classic style fantasy. The one thing it does really well is create atmosphere. I really like the atmosphere in this book, so I'm going to put it, yeah, right there. Elden Ring. This isn't my normal game that I would play. I suck at Dark Souls. I never finished it, so I really enjoyed Elden Ring. I like the open world aspect to it. It made it more accessible for someone like me who's not used to playing the Dark Souls brutalness and having nothing to do. If you die and you're stuck on a bit, you just need to keep powering through, whereas with Elden Ring, if something you're stuck on, you can go elsewhere and then come back to it later. So for that, I'm probably going to put it sort of the middle of A. Yeah. As for God of War, that's much more up my street. I'm going to put you there. I love God of War. The story and the evolution from the first game is fantastic. The gameplay is amazing. It's quite similar to the first game, but I love the first one, so I have no complaints at all with that. Next up, Wednesday. This is easy watching for me. It's not particularly deep, but it's just really good fun, and I really like the character of Wednesday, and I pretty much watched it back to back. So I'm going to put it there. Yeah, I really enjoyed Batman. It's been a while since I've seen it. I can't actually remember that much about it. I wish I remembered it better. I'm going to put above Wednesday. I think it's the middle of A. I don't think it was S tier, but it was definitely up there. The Northman. I can see the attraction to these types of films, and I did really enjoy it. There was nothing unexpected. You knew what was going to happen, and the characters weren't particularly deep. It's a spectacle. The film is a spectacle, but I did really enjoy it, so I'm going to put it almost the top of B. Rings of Power. Oh boy, this is when I'm going to lose some followers. I don't think it was as bad as some people do, but it was still disappointing, and the end kind of flopped for me. I actually got to see the first 2 episodes in the cinema, which was great, and I remember coming out being, that was really good. I enjoyed that. I liked the atmosphere. I think they captured the Middle Earth feeling quite well, in line with the films, more so the Hobbit films than the Lord of the Rings films, but I was okay with that. But after that, there were so many things that just fell flat. I think the worst part is you could see the potential, and I wanted it to be really, really good, but it just wasn't there. The Peripheral, however, is going to go right up here in A. This is a twisty-turny sci-fi show with some really deep themes. It's based on the book by the same name, which I've not read, so I didn't know anything going into the show. I just saw some trailers and thought, give that a watch, and I was very impressed. So if you're looking for a sci-fi thriller, highly recommend that on Amazon Prime. Vox Machina. Vox Machina was great. Vox Machina is one of those things that if the humor works for you, you'll really enjoy it. But it's humor's always a hard thing to get right. I'm going to put it there, I think. So if you want sort of comedy, fantasy, ragtag group of idiots with some stupid humor, but it's still pretty funny. Go watch it, it's good. As for Obi-Wan Kenobi, you don't need to go watch that. That was not that good. The bottom of B. Actually, I'm going to move Rings of Power down there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I don't know what there is to say about Kenobi. It was just disappointing. It's very similar to Rings of Power in the way that they have all this amazing world building and lore and stuff that they can lean into, and they just went for the cheapest fan service type narrative as they could, and it was just disappointing. Moon Knight, however, was very good. I enjoyed Moon Knight a lot. I've always been a fan of ancient Egypt and all their mythology, so I was very excited for Moon Knight when I heard it was coming out. Again, it was easy watching. There wasn't a lot to it, but it was still a really enjoyable watch. Next we have the Cytoverse novellas. I need to remember which one's which. Sunreach was pretty good. I'm going to put Sunreach almost at top of B. And I thought it was a fun wee side adventure. As for Redawn, I did not enjoy Redawn as much. I'm going to put Redawn there. I just, again, couldn't connect to the character in the novella either. So it was just kind of average at best. Oh, Spy Family. I'm going to put near the top of A. Spy Family is fantastic. I remember everybody was raving about it, and I watched the first episode and thought, oh, you know, it's entertaining, it's quite good, it's quite funny. But you need to keep watching. Once the three main characters are all together, it's so wholesome, it's funny, it's entertaining, and it's just a lot of fun. Overall, it was a really good year. That's quite a lot of S tier and A tier stuff, so I can't really complain. Happy with that. Tell me what your S tier books, TV shows, or games were in the fantasy sci-fi space in the comments below. And thank you for watching. And let me know if you want to see more tier list videos. This is the first one I've ever done, so you want to see more like this? It's pretty good. It's not good. I think it's lame. Let me know.